Uh, Hi, Emmanuel.
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, man, but your background is a bit noisy. Um,
Okay. The background is not very clear.
yes.
Okay. Let me try and see if I can relocate. Did you get that? I'm trying to see if I can relocate to a different place. Within a
Okay,
couple of 1 or 2 minutes. Let me try
no,
and see.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm
Okay,
happy with that.
cool.
Um, yeah. So, guys, today we're joined by Emmanuel Junior Obu, and yeah. So, if you are joining us, please greet us. Let us know which country you are streaming from. Yeah. So, for those of you that are not are returning to our channel, you would know that we usually host these like knowledge sharing sessions, and yeah, we've taken a bit of a break. Yeah, we are back, and yeah, so if you join us, please just say something. Let us know who you are, your name, the country that you're streaming from, and hopefully you can ask some questions just so that we can engage on this topic. Um, yeah, so we'll try our best to try to promote this. Yeah, and I know that some of you might not be able to attend because of time, and hopefully when you catch up on the recording later, you can just also say something on something in the comment section, just so at least we can feel like we are talking to some human bodies out there.
I'm thinking it's okay now. I don't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much better. It's much
Okay.
better. Do you mind if you can switch on your camera?
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, just so that people can see your face. Cool, man. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much. Um, yeah, I just want to double check if we're live on YouTube, and yeah, it looks like it. And let me see. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, Emmanuel, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for preparing the content on inclusive design. Yeah, and I want to say thank you, to also to the designers that are based in Ghana, and yeah, thank you so much, man. Yeah, so as I was saying, if there's anyone who's joining us, please just greet us, let us know which country you're streaming from, and if you happen to catch up on this recording, please just say something. I know a lot of you are busy. Some people are probably like leaving work now, driving, they're on the road, but yeah, we're doing this anyways, knowing that people will catch up and um, you know give their response online later. So, Emmanuel Junior Obu, I want you to introduce yourself. Just tell us like who you are, what do you enjoy doing, when you wake up and when you don't have to go to work or open up Figma, what do you love doing? And then you can also talk about yourself, as a designer, human first and then designer second.
Okay. Cool.
Sure.
All right. So Emmanuel Junior Obu. Yeah, currently in Ghana. Yeah. So what I like doing.
Mm,
So when I'm not doing anything, I'm an anime fan. So when I'm not doing anything, it's always anime. Animes they go to. Yeah, basically.
sure.
Yeah. So when I'm not doing anything, that if I'm not designing, I'm watching movie basically, yeah, and it's anime, yeah. So myself as a designer, okay, so I actually started doing design. I think a year and some months old, maybe a year and 2 months old. I quite remember I started doing design, product design, August 2022. Yeah, that's when I started doing design. But before
Nice.
that, I was more into front end development. So I was a front
Okay.
end developer before I became a product designer. Yeah. So
Okay. Okay.
I think what actually ignited my love for design was I just wanted to be, part of the design process of the digital platforms that we use basically. So most of the time I get to see the final product. You see, I get to see the final product as in the business thoughts behind it, the workflows behind it, all those users taken into consideration. I don't really know what really entails before a product is being designed. Sorry, a product is being developed. Yeah, so I just wanted to be involved in a particular process where taking into consideration the things that the user needs, okay, to actually interact with a particular product, the workflows that has to go into that particular product and all. So I think that's what actually ignited my design, my love for design, basically. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
just a year and some months old in design.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sure. No,
basically,
thanks. Yeah. Yeah. I see Joshua Obeng Agiamang from Ghana, and let's see, because I'm also seeing um, is it Weli Mushonga from Johannesburg, South Africa, and it's a pity because I don't know why I can't share your message via the stream, but maybe it will come later on. Yeah, so thank you for joining us, and yeah, so look, some designers are probably leaving work and they'll catch up on the recording. But yeah, if you're here with us, please just greet us, let us know which country you're streaming from, and it's always great to see who's online. And I usually get to see a lot of people viewing the recordings later, 100, 200 people, 300 people later. But it's always nice to know who those people are. So yeah, man, thank you so much. And yeah, it's not surprising, to see you transitioning from a front end developer, to a product designer. I also used to be a developer, you know, and so I developed love, for design. Yeah, so thank you so much, for that introduction. And where about are you based in Ghana?
so currently, I'm in Accra at the
Accra.
moment, and
Okay.
it's yeah, and it's because of work. So where
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
working now, it's an on-site job, so I have to relocate. So I'm currently in Accra. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the company that you're working for, what do you guys do?
Okay, so we are more of a service provider company in the sense that we provide digital solutions to problems. So if there is an e-commerce application that has to be done,
Mm,
there's this. So we go through this design brief and all. Then from there, so mainly we deliver solutions. Or yes, so we deliver services to those who need them, basically, and digital solutions. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. And yeah, so guys, if you're joining us, please greet us. And if you do have a question, for Emmanuel, please drop it. If you have a comment, etc., let's engage. For those who are here. And yeah, so today we're going to talk about the topic is a different take on inclusive design, and we've had about 40 design topics. And yeah, we've
Wow.
had a number of exciting topics in the past. And yeah, so we are planning to have more. yeah, if you want to be a speaker, let me know. And I want to hear more from African designers so that I can hear their perspective when it comes to design. That's like really the intention, right? And yeah, so on Friday we do have a live design battle. We have various African countries competing. That's going to be exciting. That is happening on Friday, this Friday, um, at 7 p.m. South African time. The winning prize is 5,000, and we've increased it by 5 times compared to the previous design competitions that we've had. It's fun. I will give you
Yeah,
guys a challenge on the spot, and you will have about an hour to design. And yeah, then I will announce the winner next week. So yeah, please do come. It's gonna be fun. And for those who have entered, the live design battles, they've really enjoyed themselves. And please come and support. Come with your drinks. Whatever you drink. Have chill and come and chill with us and support the African design warriors. Cool. Thank you so much. And I want you now to take over. Emmanuel, to share about a different take on inclusive design.
cool. All right. Okay, so thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very grateful. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll just move in quickly to what I have. So I already know who I am, so I'm going to skip this side. Yeah, cool. So for today, I'll be doing a little bit. I'll be touching on what inclusive design is. So I'll be going through what is inclusive design. Then I'll be talking about the principles of inclusive design. Then what leads to inclusive design, and then as well as some of the benefits that we have when we, you know, design products having inclusion in mind. Yeah. So we start with what inclusive design is. So by NN Group, inclusive design is basically methodologies, okay, that helps us to create products that understands and enable people of all backgrounds and abilities. Okay. So yeah, what we're actually looking at is inclusive design being some sort of a mindset and a series of practices that we intentionally use in the sense that we take experiences of our audience or experiences of a lot of people, okay, and these kind of people to
Yeah.
we also
Sorry, Manuel.
consider. Yeah.
Can I ask you to put Figma in full mode?
Okay, so let's see, is it okay now?
Uh,
Or full screen?
full
Want me
screen. Yeah.
full screen? Okay, okay, okay. No, let me do this. Yeah, I believe it's okay now.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
better. But yeah, if I I'll let you know if you need to change. Thanks.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah, so as I was saying, so we intentionally include the use of experience of those people who are normally discriminated due to being part of the minority or oppressed groups. Okay, so basically that's what inclusive design is. So by these groups, what I mean is it doesn't matter. It goes beyond disability. So we are talking of gender, we are talking of socioeconomic status, we are talking of religion, we are talking of age, okay, we are talking of ethnicity, what have you. So what inclusive design actually does is it actually it's a set of practices, as I said, and we normally design whatever product that we want to serve these people with all of these factors in mind. Okay, so yeah, we are looking at difference and how we are going to make this difference benefit other people. Okay, so we gather a number of insights, then through our insights we do a couple of analysis and all, so that at the end of the day the product that we bring out there actually benefits or reaches a large number of audience. Yeah. So I'm taking this. Let me use this as an example. So there is this particular website called TaxSlayer, and it's a tax filing software. So what this software actually does is that when you are inputting your information for the part where you are supposed to input your last name, there is this particular constraint on the input of last name. They say hyphen is okay. They say hyphen is okay, but when you have special characters like apostrophe and those accented characters, it becomes an invalid entry. You see, and if this actually happens, that means that in a way, people with surnames that has these kind of characters can't actually make use of the system. For instance, these people, Spanish, they normally do the Rio, then with the I, they do some accents and things there. You see, it's actually this is a software to solve a problem, but it can't reach these kind of people because of the constraint that we've placed on these kind of softwares. So that's where inclusive design comes in. So we take all of these things into consideration, being a gender, being a socioeconomic status, and all. Then we design products so that it will benefit a wide number of people. Okay. Another example is those people with mixed race. You see, a particular race cannot describe them. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, how are they going to identify themselves on a platform? You see, so that's where inclusive design comes in, because at the beginning, we are taking all of these things into consideration. Okay, so that we can actually involve a large number of people. It's just like going to an event, and at the event, you see, when you agree with a point, you can
Yeah.
clap your hands. When you agree with a point, you can stamp your feet. When you agree with your point, you can shout. Like you see, when you incorporate this kind of mechanisms, it involves a lot of people, so that those people who are deformed in a way can actually stamp their feet when they can. You get a point. So that's where inclusive design comes in, and it's very, very important. So basically, that's a brief introduction to inclusive design. Yes. So moving to the next, we have principles of inclusive design. So the first principle is recognize exclusion. So recognize exclusion. There is this medical model for disability where we see disability to be something that needs to be cured. Okay, and for these kind of people, what they have to do is they have to out their invisible and visible barriers with the notion that they will get the spotlight. Then at the end of the day, maybe they can also be included. You see, but as designers, we have to view disability from a different point of view, where in the sense that we view disability such that we compare the features of a user to the environment that he is in. For
Yeah.
instance, when we take how should I put it? When we take a person with a temporal arm injury, okay, yes, good. When we have there is this feature on Android where you can actually do one hand keyboard. Okay, you can actually do one hand keyboard. So this particular feature here, I am assuming it was actually done for those who have amputated arms. Okay, but when you have a temporal arm injury, or let's see a new parent, for instance, where he has or she has a baby in one hand and a phone in the other, these people can actually make use of, at that point in time, it's a disability because they are not being able to use their capabilities or abilities to the fullest. Okay, and if we see disability from this perspective, it actually enforces or it helps us in bringing out designs or bringing out
Yeah.
products that can actually reach out to a lot of people, because at the end of the day or at the back of our minds, we are actually designing a product for a person with an arm, but you would realize that even if we are doing a statistics or we are placing a statistics behind this particular product, you are going to notice that most people that are actually making use of that functionality are not even disabled in the first place. You see, so it looks like this kind of practice is actually important. Okay, so when we first have to recognize exclusion. So when we recognize exclusion, then we know where the problem is. Then we build the gap between we build a gap between the products and the users. Okay, so the first principle that of inclusive design will be recognize recognize exclusion. Yeah, then the next thing that I would talk about is learn from diversity. So with learn from diversity, what we actually doing is, a lot of people interact with um, products in a lot of ways because we have our own capabilities and all. Okay, so because of our capabilities and everything, we actually interact with products differently. Okay, now when we actually gain insight behind the reason why we do the things we do, it it enforces how we go about our design. So we learn from diversity in the sense that diversity in the sense that human beings have different capabilities and all. And then the most or one of the astonishing things is that we try to adapt to a lot of things. So when we are given a chance to interact with a product and the product is not really going well as we want it to be, we kind of like adapt to those products. Okay, so when so when these experiences are not serving the people, they try to adapt. So sometimes it's very important to get to know the motivation behind this kind of adaptation, because when we get more insight behind these diversities of adaptations, it helps us in um, designing products that can actually reach out to a wide number of people. Okay, then solve for one extent to all. Yes, so solve for one extent to all. I think I've actually explained it before. That's when I was talking about the exclusive recognize exclusion. So serve one, solve for one, extend to all. What we're actually trying to say here is you're
Yeah,
actually creating a product with a particular person in mind. But at the end of the day, we have this
yeah,
persona spectrum. Okay.
yeah. I
So the
mean, like,
persona,
yeah.
yeah,
So, I
I'm
mean,
listening.
yeah. Now, I wanted to jump in there, Emmanuel. I mean, you are
Yeah,
sharing
sure.
some great examples, right? And I think um, as the interpretation of what inclusive design um, has it, you know, the interpretation has evolved, and
Yeah,
that has also has helped us to take a different approach to it. And even though the intention is to design for a person with one hand, um, now companies are actually taking a different approach, and to value the number of use cases, right?
yeah,
If we look at the customer journey, that is a customer, I will be working while I'm using my phone. I will be getting into a train while I'm using my phone, right?
yeah,
And I will be holding on on to something, if I'm standing inside of if I'm standing in the train, right? I still want to use my phone, but I also need to get hold of something to keep my balance, so I don't fall, right?
yeah,
And you hold on to a pole. While you holding on to a pole, you can still use your phone, right? And also, if you're busy, cooking, right? One hand is dirty, and then you'll keep one clean, right? If you're following a recipe, you're likely to use one hand, etc. Right? There are so many of these like use cases. As soon as you double click into the customer journey, right, you'll understand
Yeah.
the different scenarios that they'll have to go through, right? And then
Yeah.
as a result of that, you can no longer say now I'm designing this mainly because of some customers who have one hand, right? Because you can see that there's actually so many use cases for even a human being who's got both hands, where they would
Yeah.
they would need to use their phone with one hand, right? And I'm saying this because there's a big shift that is happening, right? And inclusive design is no longer led by diversity, but it's actually led by having an inclusive customer journey, right?
Mm.
When I say
Yeah.
inclusive customer journey, knowing that this normal customer, will have these like abnormal use cases,
Yeah.
right? Where
Yeah.
you cannot always assume that their senses and body parts and cognitive ability will always
Mm.
function you know um fully at all times.
Yeah.
And just like, if you're in a train again, in that example, right, there will be noise. Therefore, it makes sense for me to read subtitles while I'm watching, a video on YouTube. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, 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 that's cool, man. That's all I wanted to add, and
Okay, okay,
yeah, sure,
yes,
sure, sure.
okay, sure, sure, sure. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just it's just as we are saying. So with all the other examples and other scenarios that you've added to the already listed ones. Yeah. So yes. So yes. Solve for one, extend to all. So we have these other the persona spectrum, as I was saying. So this particular spectrum here is considering all these other scenarios for the customer, or let's say for the users. Okay. And these all these other scenarios are needs to come into the design process. You get it? Yeah. So thank you very much for the add-ons there. Yes, thank you very much. So principles. Okay, cool. All right. So I've already talked about recognize exclusion, learn from diversity. Okay, then solve or extend to. Yes. So now we are at what leads to inclusive design. So I have some, I've listed some points here that I'm going to just touch on them quickly. So we have work with the right team. So it's very important to work with the right team, because this particular team here is supposed to have a diverse people. Okay, so you work with diverse team, such that you don't become, or how should I put it, such that um you don't fall victim to unconscious bias. Okay, because as designers, there is this tendency of assuming. There is this tendency of, we normally say, be in the user's shoes. Okay, so the question now becomes, who wears the shoes better? Is it the person who the shoe is for, or the person just observing? So you have to work with diverse team, so that you can get opinions or different opinions and perspective from different number of people. And when you normally do this, it normally leads to a product that is actually inclusive, because what doesn't sound offensive to you might sound offensive to somebody else, you see. And you the rationale or the idea behind all of this is to, create better solutions to problems. Okay, so there should be the step or the process that, or the mindset that we should have behind these processes should come from a number of people, so that we have a lot of opinions involved, so that it doesn't become one way. And if that actually happens, working with a diverse number of people, we get to see the kind of people, the category of people that we are actually missing out. Okay, so that we can actually involve them in the design process. Yes, so working with diverse people, or working with the right people. Then the next thing is involve the users. Yes, so again, empathy, doing your user research, creating the user journey maps and all. It's very important. So we should have this kind of mindset that we are not supposed to design for the users. Okay, we have to actually have this mindset that we are designing the product with them. You get it? So there should be we should come from this place of love, and then involve, deliberately engage the people that we are developing the or we are designing the solution for. Yes. So we have involve the users. Then the third point is establish and follow inclusive design solutions. Okay, so here I think I'm going to touch on maybe three. So we have we should embrace accessibility. So we have web content accessibility guidelines. Okay, so we have this standard that we are supposed to follow, and it's very necessary, because we interact with products in so many different ways. Okay, so all of these things are supposed to come in place. Doing your contrast checker is very important. You see, doing your contrast checker, making that everything is on point, not using just colors to portray or convey information is very important. Making use of labelless forms, you see, is also very important. Then what else can we talk about? Using meaningless link, you see, all of these things should be put in place. Okay, so with we should embrace accessibility. That's the first point I'm going to touch on. That's the first point I'm touching on. Then the next thing is making use of inclusive illustrations. So representation matters a lot, in a sense that users always want to have this sense of belonging. Okay, so they would love to see themselves in the product that they are using. You get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they will love to see themselves in the product that we are using. So if we want to do something, or if we want to portray some kind of information um in relation to illustrations and all, we can, to be on the safer side, we can go genderless. To be on the safer side,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
go genderless, or we can try as much as possible to let or represent these users in form of illustrations in the product that we are actually designing for them. Okay, then I think I'll also touch on making use of inclusive copy. So making use of clean languages that we can actually process
Yeah.
quickly,
So
so that we
I
don't.
want, yeah, I want you to. I'm not sure if you've done this in your capacity at work, in
Okay,
terms of involving the users, right?
okay,
Do you want to share more about that? I'm also happy to share from my own experience as well.
okay, okay. So there is this particular product that I actually worked on or working on. Yes, and we are actually targeting students. So the idea behind it all is having the idea behind this particular project is students. Okay, so this project is actually, or this solution is for accommodation, acquisition of accommodation for students. So there are a lot of, for when it comes to hostels, there are a lot of stakeholders involved. Okay, so we have the hostel managers, we have the hostel owners, we have the students as a whole, then we have the institutions as well.
Yeah.
So, and all of these people have what, or they have what they expect the product to do. You get it? So for the hostel manager, all he
Yeah.
wants to see is people that has booked his hostel, the payments coming through. You see which student is at which room and all,
Yeah.
and you have to
Yeah.
bring all of these people on board.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, yeah. So also, I think one of the important things for us to do as designers, right? Even
Mhm.
when we're conducting usability testing,
Yeah.
we can be intentional about recruiting, diverse participants, to test your solution with, right? And
Yeah.
so inclusive, right? Like, I'm South African. We have different provinces, and we have 9 provinces, and the big, cities are from Gauteng, Western Cape, which is this Cape Town. Then there's like Durban from KZN, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, so to be more intentional about including participants from Limpopo, from Mpumalanga, Northwest, Eastern Cape, etc. Right? You don't have to, tackle all of them all at once, right? But I think, I mean, I would hope same thing applies even in Ghana, right, or Nigeria, because we typically have these like big cities in these African countries, and for us to push ourselves, right, and because
Yeah.
in South Africa we have people that speak different languages, right, and we have people that have different educational background and different job opportunities, right? And to have that kind of a mix, right? And also, even from an LGBTI perspective, I've done that, as a designer myself, and you get rich, like, perspective. And so inclusive is also, even from a economical perspective, the customers that that earn different salary, um, I mean, customers that are in different salary brackets, right?
Yeah.
You do want to make sure that you actually cover, the different ranges, and some people, they will even kill the need, right? To judge customers based on how much they earn. But I know in some instances there are companies that might have products or solutions based on how much the companies earn, and to
Mm.
get to be intentional about getting the different perspective, right, and finding workarounds, so that your solution come across as inclusive. And also, inclusivity goes beyond just the age. you know People do not no longer want to retire at a certain age. If they can still work and they have bills to pay, you know they still want to participate in this economy. And how do we still design for them, right? It doesn't mean
Yeah.
that we have to just focus on the youth that is like digital savvy. And also, being inclusive in our solutions means that there are customers that would want to get our solutions or buy our products beyond the geographical location.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the main like aspect to what it means to be inclusive. And obviously, depending on the journey that you are at, right? I mean, depending on where you're at, on your journey as a company, right? Obviously, you will evolve, and I think there's certain things that you can tackle right up front, right? And to have inclusivity embedded, in your DNA, not just as a company, but also for us as designers to lead that conversation with such an intent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Very much. Yes. So just as I was saying, yeah. So involving the users, doing your user research and all, like detailed user research and all, and doing user research, in-depth user research, a very detailed one, so that it becomes very inclusive. Okay. Yes. And then as I said earlier too, so as I mentioned earlier, we have the establish and follow inclusive design solution. So embracing accessibility. So we have the web content accessibility guidelines. Yeah, it's online. We can actually have a look at that. It goes a long way in terms of accessibility and all. Yes, that one too is also very important. Yeah. Then inclusive illustrations and inclusive copy as well. Yes. So those are the three things that I think I'll talk about. Those are the three things that I've talked about under the establish and follow
Yeah,
inclusive design solutions. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I think, yeah. Also, we as African designers, I want us to be very intentional about, you know, representing ourselves as Black people. And I'm expecting to see more and more, animation or illustrations, iconography that is inspired by the identity of the various countries that we have,
yeah,
and to have opportunities to celebrate and to embrace our cultures, right?
true.
And because right now, I mean, I see a lot of these like illustrations that seem to be copied from some designer in the US, or from some designer based in the UK, right? um it will be great even if like we can work together collectively, to create a library that is African inspired, right? So that as much as you can, so there are, I want us to bring in the African, the African perspective, and
Yeah,
I want the African, values to be embedded into what we do, right? And that can be done in various, aspects of design.
I think it's something that we have to look
Yeah,
into.
I mean, even the content, right? The content,
Yes.
we don't have to. We can use language that speaks
Yeah.
to our African customers,
Yeah.
right? Even the images that we use, right? It's okay for us to use a business, man that is walking in the dusty streets of some village,
Yeah.
to showcase that as a businessman. The businessman, it's okay for us to showcase as someone who's got 100 cattle, you know,
Yeah.
because that is something that we can relate to as Africans, right?
Mm.
And there is the wealth, there's the beauty, and the other values that we can showcase, right? So inclusivity comes, I mean, it's a very like broad topic, right? If you, being inclusive also means that what we interpret as a rich man, it doesn't have to conform to the Western idea, that a rich person must be wearing an expensive suit,
True.
or a rich person must be driving a car that is produced in the UK.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
so how do we actually tap into the spaces so that we can showcase inclusivity that celebrates, African values?
True. True. So
Why are you laughing?
it's interesting, you know. Very interesting.
Sure.
I think it's something that we can actually pull off. So I don't know how we actually going to go about this, but it's something that we can do. Something that we can
Well,
do. Yeah.
definitely, I can see that you are reflecting on what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
please continue. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So so the next and the last is the benefits of inclusive design. So here what we are doing here is we're talking about the importance of inclusive design. Just touching off on just three. So reaching wide audience, I think that we already know from the beginning of this presentation to the end. Yes, we've been talking about this all this while. And then increase customer satisfaction with our users, and then reduce costs associated with accessibility retrofits. So with this particular point here, I was reading, I was trying to look for the article to that particular link. So there is this accessibility act that is actually going to be rolled off. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an European Accessibility Act. I don't know how far they are going to go about this too, as well. In the sense that digital products or products and services that will be under this act, if you don't conform to that act, you'll be sued. It's it's really getting serious. So I actually added this point here because of that. And again, I don't know how far it's going to be because it's an article that I read some time ago. So you can just anyone watching
Yeah.
or listening, you can just search it up. European Accessibility Act. I think they said they are going to roll it out 2025. Yeah, that's from the article. That's what I read. Yes. So when we start building or when we start designing from the start, or sorry, when we start designing with inclusion in mind, it helps clear all of these things off. Because from the onset, all of these factors are, are considered. You see, all of these factors are considered. So in conclusion, it's very, very important that our products are inclusive as much as we can. And because the idea behind or the idea is to reach out to or to create solutions to people, and these people have various capabilities and all, depending on the scenario. You see,
Yeah.
as I said earlier, some people might not actually be deformed or disabled, but in the situation that they find themselves, situational circumstances and all, you see, it makes these kind of people disabled one way or the other. So when we do all of these things, when these thoughts is considered during our customer journey map, it helps us in the long run. We don't go through the stress of changing this and that to suit this, because from the onset, all of these factors are taken into consideration. Yeah. So yeah. So I think that's my last slide.
Yeah.
Basically,
Sure.
that's all I wanted to share on inclusive design today. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Yeah. So if you just go back to that previous slide, right?
Benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
So reaching a wide audience. So a lot of people try, like, they love to lead with that benefit, right? And I would love us to switch things up a bit, is to, number two, increasing customer satisfaction, right? For me, that means um, it's really about enhancing your experience as a customer, right, throughout the
Yeah.
customer journey, right?
Mm.
So when you talk about the customer journey, it's very important for us to deeply envision the diff, you know, the the different places that the customer will be at, and so- and the different circumstances that they will be facing, right? And once you deeply understand that, then um, you you get to see the value of actually of increasing, adoption, right?
Yeah.
And increasing engagement, and that means that your customer can use your product longer.
Yeah.
They don't only need to use it in certain circumstances, right? And it's not just about the ability at certain times, right?
Yeah.
And in reality, most human beings are always if I'm using my phone, I'm likely to be competing. That phone is likely to be competing with something else that I can possibly do at the time, whether I'm watching TV or whether I am, you know, uh, talking to a friend over drinks while I'm using my phone, right? Or you could be, playing with your baby while you're using your phone, etc. Right? And I think as much as we can talk about design, right, in the context of mobile and desktop and all the other like digital platforms, right? There's this is like a broader conversation, from a product design, which is um, product design goes beyond just the digital, product, right? Even into the
Yeah.
physical
Yeah.
space, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so the 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 what people miss a lot is the innovative approach that uh, happens when you embrace inclusive design, and also the amount of money that a customer can make, right? Even if you don't have an intention of reaching a wider audience, by the fact that you want to increase you know um your usage of your products in different circumstances. That means now, like for instance, Spotify, right? They
Yeah.
want you to be able to listen to Spotify while you're working or when you're jogging, also when you are driving, right? So that for me is a powerful example of inclusive design. That means I can navigate using Google Maps, and within Google Maps, there is Spotify integrated within the same view, right?
Yeah.
That means I don't have to stop listening to music and
Music.
changing
Yeah.
music, right, easily, so that I don't cause accidents, right?
Yeah.
And I can still navigate and get to where I'm going safely, right? And so in this case, like Google, right, and Spotify, they have taken like a different approach, right? How do we appear as Spotify even within other apps, so that we can seamlessly integrate into the experience of a customer,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, so in this case, right, it means you can enjoy your long journey, right? Listen to music, listen to the jams that you like, etc., right? And also making it easy. When I'm listening to Spotify and I'm using my Beats headphones, I can skip that song without touching my phone. I can tap on my headphones, um, right? And again, I'm highlighting the different instances, right? Obviously, the more I use Spotify in this case, the more money that they can make, because I'm listening to more artists, and then the more I listen, the more money the artists can make as well, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't even touched the ability to reach a wider audience,
Yeah.
right? And I want to flip the script, because this conversation is always seen as an opportunity to cater for the other, you know when you're feeding
Mm.
forms, there's that other option. And it's actually there's more money to be made and more, you know, there's more ex- enhanced experience that that can be provided,
Coming
right?
better.
To really, you know, like for any company, right? That feels that this is a regulatory obligation, then they're missing it. And um, for any designer that feels that we need to do this because, you know, of the regulatory requirements, then we are actually not understanding what this thing is about,
Also menacing it.
right? And also, right, someone can say you want to reduce the cost, right, so that you don't have to retrofit. I
Mm.
want to challenge that so that we can say you can make money, okay? So that there's, because the difference between reducing cost versus making money, you can make a lot of money if you actually apply an inclusive approach to design,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, because it's not, you know, so even if you know, even if you can take that, inclusive approach from the beginning so that you don't have to later retrofit your solution, but when you have an intention to make more money in the right from the beginning, then you can see the value.
The value. Very true.
Yeah, yeah. And if you just go back, one more slide.
This.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So work with the right team and being intentional about building an inclusive team is also a great approach to it. And being intentional about, even in the financial services space, you know, you get to hear a lot of people who are talking, you know, who are speaking English like they've got like PhD in English, you know, and that thing sucks for me, you know, and because we can't all like sound like we graduated in, you know,
Like that.
in
Yeah.
yeah, right. So you want to have that guy that speaks English as if, you know, they didn't go to varsity, to remind us of the reality of our customers, right? You
Mm.
want to have that guy that can remind you that there's a customer that is, you know, that is working at a garage somewhere, right? Living in a village somewhere, or living in a township somewhere, right? Or a gardener, right? And you, when you employ, you know, not just designers, right? I mean, the various members of the team, whether it's a product owner or a developer, etc., right? We need to be open. We can't be like looking for the guys who seem to be the right fit for the corporate world.
Yeah.
You know, you want to have
Yeah.
the guy who's got tattoos, you know, who looks a bit weird, you know, and that person can bring a different perspective to the team, right? And yeah, so I think having such intentions, like right from the beginning, you know, even when you building a team, right, you you want someone who's going to remind you that, hey, there's no one that looks like me on that website. I'm not seeing an image of this person,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, this level of English, you know, is too advanced.
This too
The
much.
way
Yeah.
you're explaining this, you know, product, right, is not relatable. um, and yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping to see more of that from companies, because if we hire people that sound like us, that have that that seem to be too relatable, then it's easy for us, you know, to think the same, you know, in our approach.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, even, you know, like some usability testing can happen in even in different languages, and if there's a need to do so, right? But to have that intention to mix things up will really, like, you know, help us to think differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend, they were doing something, in the mining industry. And obviously, it's an industry where there are a lot of people who are not illiterate.
Mm.
And then you have like educated engineers designing solutions that are going to be used by people who are not very good at, reading and understanding technology, right? So the
Yeah.
person who designed the solutions is very, very far from the person who will be using, that solution. Yeah, but anyways, let me not spend too much time. I want to say thank you so much, Emmanuel, and yeah, thank you for your willingness to come and to share your knowledge. And yeah, so I know inclusive design is one of the topics that people often talk about, and some topics might seem a bit repetitive, but there's always like a different perspective and a richer perspective, and in which we can discuss these topics.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll say thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that has joined. And yeah, so we have a live design battle this coming Friday. It's gonna be an awesome event. Please come and join. If you haven't joined any of our live design battles, yeah, you can come, have your drink, grab your popcorns, and cheer up the guys. If you haven't entered, please do so. We've got a number of people that have entered the competition, from different African countries. Yeah, so thank you so much. We've got Pridion Chisadza from Zimbabwe. We've got Wilson Kariaku from Rwanda. We've got Amogelang Chokutu from Botswana. There's Les Duplessis from South Africa. We've got Kengaju Laura Alida from Uganda. Um, Also, we've got Emmanuel Junior Obu representing Ghana. Looking forward to see you there. Sharon Chepkoech, she has won, one of the competitions.
Mm.
She's from Kenya. Looking forward to see what she's going to come up with. They see on the move from Kenya has entered, and now I've also seen someone from Rwanda, Bertrand Musiu. Yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing the names correctly. And yeah, guys, thank you so much. And looking forward to see you again this Friday. And yeah, thank you for joining. And if you are catching up on the recording, please, greet us, even though the live stream has ended. I know a lot of you are driving, but yeah, we need to find time to do these sessions. And I know it's not ideal for some of us who are finishing work, but yeah, thank you so much. And looking forward, for you guys to subscribe and to um, invite more, people to the sessions. If you want to present a topic, please let me know. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I'll see you
Thank
on
you.
Friday. Good luck.
Sure. Sure.
Cheers, man.
Sure.